The Pacific Ocean is the biggest ocean in the world. It's also where the deepest place on Earth is found, the Mariana Trench. In this video, we're going to explore our oceans and find out how truly colossal they really are. Firstly, let's start with some basic definitions. An ocean and a sea are not the same thing. In terms of geography, seas are smaller than oceans and are usually located where the land and ocean meet. So basically, seas feed into oceans. Here is a video that most of you might think is a boundary line between two oceans, but is actually a boundary line between salt-dense ocean water and silica-based seawater. Specifically, this occurred at the Strait of Vancouver in Canada. On the surface, it seems like a solid line, but it actually looks more like this. The fresh water rises up and over the dense salt water, creating a boundary under the surface where the particles are binding together and dropping down, forming a sediment layer and mixing the two waters together. There are 5 oceans on planet Earth: the Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic Ocean, and of course, the very big one, the Pacific. The Pacific Ocean, stretching from the islands of Indonesia to the coast of Colombia, is 19,800 kilometers long. A typical bus ride would take you 220 hours or 9 days. A flight would take you 23 hours of continuous flying. But planes don't have the fuel capacity for such voyages. The longest flight in the world is operated by Singapore Airlines, traveling 19 hours from New York to Singapore, which only covers 15,300 kilometers, more than 4,000 kilometers short. In primary or elementary school, we were taught that the Earth's surface is 71% water and that the rest, which is land, is 29%. Do you want to guess how much of the Earth's surface is just the Pacific Ocean alone? 30%. That means that all the countries and continents in the world could be squeezed into the Pacific Ocean alone. Just the Pacific. That's wild. But what is even more fascinating about the Pacific is the depths that it reaches. When the everyday citizen is asked, what is the tallest mountain in the world? They'll correctly answer and say, Mount Everest. But if you go further and ask, how tall is it? You start to get some funny answers. 8.8 kilometers, for those of you wondering. The deepest place on Earth, as previously mentioned, is the Mariana Trench. It is located in the western Pacific Ocean, about 200 kilometers or 124 miles east of the Mariana Islands. Allow me to hold off on immediately telling you how deep the ocean is, but join me as we go through an animation that would truly be mind-bending. The world record for the deepest ocean dive by a human is 831 feet or 250 meters. At 2,722 feet or 850 meters, we find the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on Earth. Further down, at 3,800 feet or 1 kilometer, we find the Midnight Zone. Here, no sunlight can no longer go any further down into the ocean. 12,600 feet or 4 kilometers down, we find the famous Titanic resting peacefully in the Atlantic Ocean. But you know what's funny? The tipping Mount Everest into the Pacific Ocean still wouldn't cover the depth. Imagine, we're over 8 kilometers into the ocean and there's still more to go. The most recent attempt to reach the bottom was done by the Deep Sea Challenger mission in 2012. They got to 35,700 feet or 10.8 kilometers. But the real legends, the real dons, are both Jacques Pichard and Don Welsh, who reached the bottom of the ocean, the deepest part of the earth, at a depth of 35,797 feet or 10.9 kilometers. And they did that in 1960. Looking at this animation, you can see how truly gargantuan the Pacific is. Point Nemo is the location in the sea where you would be furthest away from any inhabited land. The closest inhabited land would be Easter Islands, 2,600 kilometers away. The oceans are incredibly vast, but they're also incredibly beautiful. Water is a sign of life, and we, the everyday citizens, have a lot of life to live. Thank you all for watching.